Join me now is our last guest for tonight, Patrick Wood of Technocracy.news. Technocracy.news. Patrick, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Nice to see you.
You too, my friend. All right, you got a brand new article out I want to go to. It's at Technocracy.news. It's entitled, here it is, World Bank Making Life Easier with Fast Payments and Digital ID. You say the opportunity is not to build something entirely new, but to connect what already exists into a system that works. As fraud becomes more sophisticated and AI-driven agents begin to initiate payments on behalf of users, the World Bank is worried about getting non-banked people into the system. Any new person needs verified identification. The largest concentration of non-bank people is in the Middle East, end quote. You say, imagine this situation. Maria runs a small grocery shop, and one afternoon she receives a message asking her to pay a supplier urgently through the country's fast payment system. The name looks familiar. The payment request looks real. She sends the money. Minutes later, she realizes it was a scam. The money's gone. Fast payment systems are incredibly powerful. They move instantly around the clock at low cost, but speed also removes margins for error. Once funds move, they're hard to recover. And today, many fast payment systems still rely on fragmented identity checks and app-specific controls that leaves users exposed to fraud, misdirected payments, and unnecessary friction. This is where digital identity can fundamentally change the experience. Pick it up from there, would you please, Patrick?
Can you imagine the World Bank putting out this garbage? What vendor? Maria is the person's. She says she's a small grocery shop owner. Who would be so stupid to pay money from somebody you do not know and can't verify in the first place? Don't you know who your vendors are in the first place? So the premise from the get-go is just so thin. They talk about fraud. We're going to protect you. We don't want you they don't want you to be scammed, etc. Give me a break. This whole system that the World Bank is promoting, and others as well, it's about getting all the unbanked people in the system across the world, of course. This includes South America, Africa, lots of people there, probably a few in Malaysia. But basically, the Mideast is full of people who are unbanked, and they want to get them in the system. This is so thin.
And how are they going to do it? I mean, what is going to be the hook that gets them in?
just put the fear of God in them. I think with stories like this, people have to read this story.
So if you want to avoid fraud, or identity theft, get your digital ID.
That's exactly right. Yeah, you don't want to be scammed. Oh, no. Get your digital ID so you can be sure you won't be scammed. It's just like, I'm sorry. It's people need to see the World Bank for what it is. This is one of the most scurrilous organizations in the world, right aside of the IMF and the BIS itself. So, they're promoting this nonsense that, well, we have to make sure everybody's included. We want everybody to have an ID just so they can not scam each other. And, are they the guardians of the world that they have to worry about people getting scammed? I don't think so, but they think they are.
Now, you mentioned something to me the other night about the World Bank. That's tied back to the UN, of course, right? The World Bank. Yes. Are they involved in something in Gaza, or what was it you mentioned them the other night?
Well, exactly. And by the way, the World Bank is not directly associated with any other organization. It is what it is. It was set up in around 1945 as like a troika of organizations, including the IMF and the BIS. But we find all of a sudden some of the people that Trump appointed to the Peace Board. Okay, this is an organization now. He just declared it. Well, we're going to kind of take that function away from the UN now, and we're going to do peace. Then he appointed members of the Trilateral Commission, like 3 out of 9, to be board members of the Peace Board. And all of a sudden, one of the people shows up, A.J. Banga. He's a member of the Trilateral Commission, and he just happens to be a member of the world, or the director of World Bank. Yes, that AJ. So all of a sudden he shows up. So Trump then said that he has a $10 billion pledge from the United States. He doesn't have it, but that's what he said. And there's member states that are coughing up $1 billion ahead to be part of the Peace Board. This is in anticipation of rebuilding Gaza, I think, at this point. But the World Bank said they have created a special account for the Peace Board. There's no money in it yet, but it's ready to go, and it's ready to receive all these billions of dollars on behalf of the Peace Board. So yes, they're involved with this new organization. It's not the UN; it's the Peace Board. This Peace Board is the strangest thing you've ever seen in your life. President Trump has declared himself to be the chairman for life. For life. Now he may not have a long life. I don't know, but I'm just saying he's chairman for life, and he has the right of succession built into it. He has to pick his successor before he dies. That could be a family member, maybe Kushner, maybe Don Jr., maybe Eric, whatever. Who knows? But this is the odd setup for any organization, an international organization. I've never seen anything like this before. The United Nations, for instance, they vote corporately on who's going to be the new director, and they switched out every few years. But this is a position for the Peace Board that's going to be in perpetuity in the Trump family. And
what's so interesting about all this is how this is all changing the landscape globally so fast. So the war in the Middle East right now, Israel, the U.S. fighting this war, is reshuffling the Middle East. It's bringing the U.S. and Israel as the big dogs, certainly the U.S., and then Trump's International Peace Board plays into this. He gets all these Muslim nations to line up. They're being attacked by Iran. That drives a lot of them more into Trump's camp. But as the Middle East is being revamped with new relationships and agreements, then it comes to the International Peace Board. And then you have the UN at the same time that is collapsing. The convergence of events is mind-blowing. By the way, I looked up, I asked Grok about the relationship between the UN and the World Bank. The World Bank is formally linked to the UN as a specialized agency through a treaty-based agreement that promotes coordination and partnership while preserving the bank's operational autonomy and distinct governance structures. This makes it part of the broader UN system, but separate from the UN's principal organs. But it goes on to say that the World Bank aligns its work with the UN frameworks like 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. But what's so interesting, too, though, is, you want to say something about that?
No, that's right. That's what it is.
And at the same time, the United Nations is collapsing.
That's what they say.
I wonder what could replace.
I
wonder what could replace the United Nations. Oh wait, the International Peace Board. Here is the UN today warning about a collapse. Here we go.
The Secretary General has, as you know, repeatedly made clear the problem both of non-payment of Jews by member states and the related problem of the UN being forced to repay member states for budget expenses that it does not budget money that it does not spend, so those two factors have put us on an unsustainable trajectory. Although more than 150 member states paid their dues last year, we ended 2025 with a record $1.56 billion in outstanding dues, which is more than double that of the previous year. So unless either the payments come in or we're not compelled to spend, to return the monies that we are not able to spend because we didn't receive the budget, unless one of those two things happen, we face a real danger of running out of money.
That
there you
poor
go.
guy.
They face a danger of running out of money.
This poor guy is tripping over his tongue. He can't explain what's going on. Guys, we just ran out of money. Just say it and get on with it, you know. But Trump recently shut off the spigot for a lot of agencies, and this is basically what is driving them in a hole. And yes, you know, we've been picking up the slack for all these nations all these years. Why was this the case? Who knows? But you know, I'm glad that Trump kind of took them to the woodshed, so to speak. But they deserve to got a bit out of business. And if those other member states don't want to pay their dues, they just should get out of the United Nations altogether and just vote with their feet. Just get out.
Do you agree with me that we got this convergence of things going on where you have the Middle East being reshaped, the rise of the International Peace Board, the UN is collapsing financially. I mean, it's all really working toward a new system, and it's going to have happened in a matter of months.
It has been. And you might remember all of the other things that have been said about the United Nations in the last 6 months, taking them to task for the Green New Deal. Trump calls it the green scam. All this stuff of climate change, that's over at this point, it seems like. The war on carbon, you know, Trump says, no, we're not going to do that and just forget that in our country. You see, the United Nations has been swept aside. It was the main player that was set in place in the first place in 1992 when this whole Agenda 21 nonsense started at the instance of Trilateral Commission policy, I have to add. At this point, they don't need this anymore. The whole nonsense of sustainable development, it got them to this point. They really don't need it at this point. This is why I think the whole system will probably just all but disappear in maybe 1 year from now. And now they have another superstructure, another template that they can exercise. And this is the new world order going forward. The old order, or the old, let's see, get this right, the old new world order is over. So yes, there's been a sea change. I think we're going to see more of this in the future. And in fact, I'm sure of it at this point.
All right, check it all out at technocracy.news, technocracy.news. He's got brand new articles up there, technocracy.news. Patrick Wood, he also hosts a show Tuesdays and Thursdays with Logan House, 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern Standard. Patrick, as always, thanks for all you do.
You bet. Thank you.
Patrick will also be one of our national speakers at our national conference coming up in October. Again, it's free. We're making it free for the first time in 22 years, brought to you by our foundation and you that support our foundation. But you can get your free tickets so we know you have a seat at worldviewtube.com/events. All right. That's our broadcast for tonight, folks. Now, again, I'm supposed to be celebrating 35 years of marriage, off the air, resting. The doctor says, hey, why don't you combine that with being off the keyboard and sitting for hours so we can get this C6 and C7 in your neck herniated disc repaired. So I need to do that, but a war broke out and I have to jump on here. I am going to do radio from 1 to 2. I'm endeavoring to do that every day, 1 to 2. But I want to take off a little bit tomorrow. And so I've asked Andy to sit in. I might come back Wednesday night with a special guest. And then I know got Sharam coming in probably Thursday and Friday. So all is well, and I just want you not to panic or anything, all right? But as news breaks out, we'll certainly break back onto the set here and bring you news and information as you have come to expect. Roll the music. Let's call it a night. And again, I can't say it enough. If you appreciate all we're doing and the fact that we even worked over the weekend with 3 special broadcasts, I was at the desk Saturday morning for 2 hours, and then on the panel Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon that Annie led. If you appreciate all we're doing here, folks, the most powerful way to support us, aside from praying for us, is at worldviewfoundation.com. Worldviewfoundation.com. Would you please consider going there now? Even a $5, $10 a month contribution, it all adds up. Worldviewfoundation.com. May God save America and protect Israel. Take care.